Before you watch today's episode, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm really excited to be recording season 2. There was really a point where I did not see this happening. It's been a rough start to the year, but I meet so many people on the street who talk about the impact of this podcast on their lives. I'm also equally excited to be collaborating with a brand I admire so much. Veuve Clicquot has been instrumental in a lot of who I am today, in how not only the brand, but the people behind the brand have been extremely supportive with the work that we do at Agenda Woman. I have always been inspired by the story of Madame Clicquot. Anyone who knows me knows I love a good entrepreneurial story. Madame Clicquot's innovations were manifold. Not only did she create an identity for champagne outside of France, she bottled the first recorded vintage champagne in 1810. I am excited to let you guys know that the Veuve Clicquot Bold Woman Award entries are open and they will be closing on the 14th of May. This year will mark 51 years of Veuve Clicquot celebrating trailblazing women. So if you want to potentially be a winner of the Bold Award this year, I want to encourage you to visit www.veuveclicquot.com to submit your entry, and you could be the next winner. Stay tuned to my conversation with Gugu Sithole, who is the 2022 Veuve Clicquot Bold Woman Award winner, and you could get a glimpse of what your life could be like if you enter this year. Gugu Sithole. I don't think I can mention that name without saying Gugu Sithole, the Bold Award winner, the Veuve Clicquot Bold Award winner for 2022. How are you today?
I'm great, how are you?
I'm so excited to get into this conversation with you about, your personal journey, your association with the Veuve Clicquot brand and how I believe it has changed your life, and really all the things that we don't know about that particular journey and how you became the Bold Award winner for 2022. I want to know, what is this business that actually got you that award?
So, yes, the business is called Glamping Adventures. So we offer glamorous camping. So basically we offer a service to people that love the outdoors. They love adventure, but they don't want to get their hands dirty. So we would set up camp, make sure that the tents are set up, fully furnished, electrified. So it's really like your hotel in the bush.
Oh, wow.
They are rated, of course, so you find your entry level. We go up to 5-star. We move across South Africa and the region. We have also relationships with permanent glamping sites, in Namibia, in Vic Falls, in South Africa. So it then depends on what client wants. We tailor make the packages. It's we have group departures which are fixed. So we've got like an annual calendar where people can just look, okay, in January they'll be here, Feb, March, and you book based on your interests.
Oh, wow.
But then we also cater to the FIT market. These are people that don't want to travel as a group. They've got their own dates. They've got their own destinations that they want to go to. So we put those together for them as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, we're all about unique stays. We don't do your typical hotels and normal itineraries. We find gems. We find unique structures. We're talking 5-star caves or 5-star sky accommodation where you just sleep under the stars, but it's still it's still 5 stars. So we really find those unique cabins out, in the bush. We find glass houses where you can just be sleeping on your bed and stargazing. So we're all about creating unique escapes.
I always get so excited when I meet, number one, someone who shares the same surname as me. Number two, someone who speaks Zulu as often as you do. Every time we engage, we go into like this deep Zulu conversation, and it always reminds me of home. It always makes me feel like, I miss home. Tell me a little bit about your childhood and where you grew up and what that felt like.
Nomndeni, it's so funny you should say that, because I think when I first met you and we spoke, and then we shifted to Zulu immediately, it was just like, in Johannesburg, it never happens, you know, so it's like a treat from home. So it's exactly what it is. So I grew up in KZN, in a little village called Mondlo. I was raised by my grandmother and my mother. She had me when she was young, so she then left me with my grandmother to raise me while she went back to school. So she went back to varsity. My formative years were really great. I watched my grandmother, who was a dressmaker, make these beautiful dresses, but there would be people walking in and out of the house. She was referred to as Ugogo Tungayo, so the grandmother who sews, and I remember people coming from neighboring towns and villages, to have their clothes made. And I used to be so interested. And my grandmother would tell me, she'd narrate this later on in life, that you really would go deep into, the questions, asking my clients, so where do you come from? What happens where you come from? They'd be coming from Durban, they'd be coming from Newcastle, they'd be coming from far. For me, Durban was somewhere very far. There was the sea. So later on in life, and you'd see as we go along how I actually got to be where I am in terms of the industry that I've chosen as well. But it's sort of like all comes together, my interest and my intrigue with travel and people coming from all, from everywhere. She tells me that she would then listen to me narrate these stories to my friends, but I would tell them as if they were mine, as if I've been to Durban. She says, I would see Durban through your stories, because she'd also never been. She was in her 60s, 70s, and she'd never seen the sea, yet we were so close.
That's incredible.
So I think it all started there. But yeah, those are the stories that I remember. Simple life, very communal. She raised a lot of relatives as well. There was turmoil in Johannesburg. So people were sending their children to the villages because there was more stability.
Absolutely.
And, so they could get an education. There was the 76 uprisings and stuff like that. So she raised whole communities. She
created home for a lot of people.
She created a home for a lot of
I feel
people.
like I'm getting a connection already. I'm always interested in, who we become and our early childhood influences and how they really become a big factor in how we see ourselves as adults. When you think about Ugugu today and the attributes that make Ugugu successful, what experiences as a developing child do you believe started to mold those attributes for you? Because there's things that you see in the future and you're like, oh my gosh, this is why I'm like that. Or this is the reason that I do things in this way. But there are some things that we look back and we think, thank God. Thank God someone taught me that. Or thank God I was in this situation, because it's the thing that molded me to become this person.
Yeah, for sure. I would say that I was like really surrounded by kindness, but also I was surrounded by strong women, in my grandmother and my mother, who like really validated me as a child and my thoughts. I was told at a very young age, that my dreams were valid, that I was given the space to express myself. So I think that really molded me into the person that I am today. You know, the freedom to be. You know, I was never shy to say this is what I think should happen, or this is how I want things to happen in my space, or this is why I want things to happen like this. And I got encouraged from a very, very young age. You know, it was also, I think, in you know, when I started school as well, you know, the types of activities that I would, you know, get involved in, you know, they were very much like your leadership, you know, activities in school. It was the arts as well, but also at home. I was like very much encouraged to do that. At school, my teachers really nurtured, you know, that, you know, whenever there was a leadership cause or the school had to be represented by someone, you know, I was fortunate to be the one. So I was like very out there, and I think I took very bold step in my you know, childhood, that then brought me to where I am. Yeah.
It's very interesting where you are now. I mean, to have gone on and decided to enter the Bold Woman Awards and win, and go on this journey, this absolutely fairy tale-like journey, I imagine, of being introduced to the story of Madame Clicquot and the bold moves that she made. Just even finding out that the person behind this gigantic brand called Veuve Clicquot is a female. It's ironic when I listen to your story in terms of your relationship with the woman in your life, the bold and courageous life you seem to have had from a very young age. Tell me, what was the thing that surprised you the most about Madame Clicquot's story when you heard about it?
You know, when you mentioned that Veuve Clicquot was a brand that was owned by a female, that to me was the biggest surprise.
Me too.
Because we know this brand. It's a big brand. It's a well-known brand. It's a brand that is synonymous with class, with style. And I see this you know, the awards and that they were happening, and then I started researching, what is this about? Who is this person? So finding out it was female, to me it was the greatest surprise. But also her story, you know, sort of like it's a story that is sort of like is relatable, you know, with a lot of women, considering the history that we have as women. You know, Madame Clicquot was, you know, she took over the reins, you know, of the brand when her husband died. But also she was one of the first business women of modern times. You know, this happened at a time when women were not allowed to open bank accounts, you know, let alone run a company or own one. So that was a bold move on her part. But also when I talk about, I mean, if you think 1956, you know, the past laws, women marching, you know, so it sort of like all comes together that I think to me, that then said to me, oh, wow, you know, women have always been, you know, at the forefront, although we are made to believe that it's otherwise. But we know that we've been at the forefront. So that story resonated. It said to me, wow, I want to be associated with this brand. You know, there is so much depth. You know, there is so much that I believe I can take away from this brand. And that was for me the nudge, like go for it.
I think it's very similar to me. I mean, I've been associated with Veuve Clicquot for a couple of years now. And one of the things I always say about the brands that I work with is fundamentally I have to share the same values as them. And I mean, in the work that I do with the summit and just my conversations even with the local team, this story resonates so deeply, I think, with every single person that gets to hear about it, that you kind of feel that the pulse even of the brand still is echoing that courage that Madame Clicquot had. I'm very interested in knowing what gave you the courage to make the bold move to be in entrepreneurship. I mean, I've been an entrepreneur for over 12 years. Half the time I ask myself, what am I doing and why am I doing it? Yeah. I don't know how many times, and every entrepreneur just wakes up and thinks, maybe I should get a job, because this is becoming a little difficult. I want to hear a little bit about what about your story connected you even to Madame Clicquot's story. What has your entrepreneurial journey been like?
So it's certainly been full of ups and downs, but then again, you know, when you talk about that connection, you know, I said to you that it was at a time when women were not allowed to run businesses, and I said to myself, even currently we are allowed,
yeah.
but you know, as women, we always sort of like you know, on the back burner.
Yes, there's a lot of challenges.
There's a lot of challenges, you know, there's a lot of barriers that we still need to break. So it is such stories, you know, of courage. It is such stories of you know, independence and wanting to break barriers that sort of like fuel me on, you know. So like, you know, Madame Clicquot, I know that there are challenges. I know that, you know, you have to be sort of like exceptional, you know, in order to be noticed,
yeah.
you know, and it was something that I really felt strong about. I felt that my vision was very strong, you know, that I wanted to do it and nothing was going to stop me, you know. So, you know, when you talk about the journey, it really started with where I come from as well. I watched my grandmother, you know, raise children on her entrepreneurial money.
Yeah.
You know, I watched her having the freedom to support us in our little endeavors, whatever
yes.
they were,
yes.
because she worked for herself, yes. you know, and
she had the independence.
She had that independence, and I aspired to do the same. So when I decided this was the chance for me to do it, of course they were, oh my gosh, why would you want to trade your cushy job? I was heading a brand in Africa and Middle East. I was at the peak of my career, but there was this fire, you know, raging within me. And it said, the time is now.
Yeah.
So nothing was going to extinguish that fire. I was not going to listen to reason
yeah.
or anyone who said to me, but you've got a great job. I was ready to jump in. I was ready for that bold move.
Yeah.
And that's just how it happened.
That's so interesting. I think there's a lot of people who find themselves in that situation at times where they're thinking about whether they should leave their jobs and pursue entrepreneurship. What was it for you that, outside of the burning passion, I mean, how do you know for sure, how do you know for certain that this is the thing that you want to pursue? I mean, you've gone on and you've made a success of yourself, but I imagine a lot of people are fearful, right? About, what if I go ahead and I take this bold move and it doesn't work out? You know, I hear people who talk about, geez, that gap that I took, and then I eventually had to go back.
Yeah.
You know, how did you go over those mental barriers for yourself? And when it did get tough, what kept you in entrepreneurship?
I think it was the passion more than anything else. You know, I said to myself, I wanted to do something that I am very passionate about, that I have done research on, so I put in the work before I went. So I think
that's an important part.
You know, it wasn't an immediate jump. So it was, you know, while still employed, I was putting in the work, doing the research, and when I was ready to jump, then I knew then that this is it, this is what I wanted to do. You know, to me, it had to have an element of, you know, social responsibility. You know, I've seen how the most successful businesses are businesses that, you know, empower, you know, people within their communities, or that have an element of you know, socially uplifting the people around them. So I wanted to connect the two.
Yeah.
And then I came to travel. You know, that's what I've been wanting to do from when I was young, from when I was running away from home, coming to Joburg, because all I wanted to do was to come to Joburg, the city of lights, you know. And I remember I left, I took a gap year after matric, and also that sort of like put a strain on family, because she's 18, she's going to New York. Half of the family said, but we don't know anybody there. Other half of the family said, it would be irresponsible for your mother to let you go.
Yeah.
And it was my mother again and my grandmother who said, go.
Yeah.
Don't look back, go. So I think when we talk about those things that don't go the way you plan them to, I think you asked about detours or if things don't go right. Certainly, you know, there will be those things in business. You know, we plan. You can plan as much as you can. But when things don't go the way you plan, then you take the detour, and you just you find a way to make it work. You know, I believe that you know, those hurdles like really build character.
Of course.
You know, they strengthen you. You know, somehow. So you know, there's been times when in business, you know, things haven't gone the way I've wanted them to, but you sit back and you just re-strategize. I mean, we saw that with COVID, you know, with the travel industry being the hardest hit, but we are still here post-COVID because we looked at other ways to do business, at other opportunities, and you know, actually COVID presented other opportunities you know, to us as a business. So yeah, things won't always go the way we want them to, but it's how we get back up.
It's very interesting that you mention how when you left corporate you had a strategy. You had to take time to think through, what was this business? How was it going to potentially sustain me? What are the hurdles that I can foresee? And how do I overcome those hurdles? And then you also go on to speak about when you do find yourself in those moments where there are detours, right? There are unplanned scenarios that you are confronted with. You sit back and you strategize again. It feels like it's a reoccurring theme in your narrative around your entrepreneurial journey, because I imagine when you decide to enter a competition, which I've never done in my entire life, you have to have some kind of courage, right? And some kind of fundamental belief, number one, that you potentially could win. And I understand now from speaking to a lot of actually successful entrepreneurs that it is part of the strategy. It is another way to think about how do you move your personal brand forward and how do you move your business brand forward. When you found out about the Veuve Clicquot Bold Awards, what was the reason you decided to enter?
For me, Nomndeni, I just imagined, you know, what, you know, the connections would do for me, you know, personally, as well as for the business. So it was for me to tap in, you know, those communities, and networks. So I just imagined, I mean, I was reading about the award itself, and you know, it said that there are 450 bold women, you know, winners across the world. And I said to myself, imagine, you know, tapping into those, you know, imagine being part of that community and what it would do for me. So I think that was my driving force behind, you know,
entering the award. I said to you earlier, you know, when we were speaking about this award, that personally, one of the reasons I've never entered awards is maybe because I don't know if I have an inferiority complex, or I don't know what I would stand up in front of a jury and say. I've never even done a pitch competition. what in your head made you think you could potentially win? Because I always think, I'm great at what I do, but I don't know in a competitive environment what it is that I would say, you know, that would make people think that I'm the best amongst this group of people, you know? So I want to know what it is that you thought you had that was special and could maybe get you even maybe to the top 5, because I don't know if you thought I'm definitely going to win, or you were just like, let me just get in and see how far I can go.
It was definitely a let me get in and see how far I can go. I said to myself, I think that I might just make it, you know, into the top 6, you know. So it was never, I'm going to win this. I said, even if I make it into the top 6, then I would have made it, you know. Of course, you know, to enter such a competition, there has to be a level of confidence.
Of course.
You know, you don't fear putting yourself out there.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And also, you do not have a fear of taking risks.
Yeah.
Because that is a risk. You know, you're putting yourself out there. You could potentially never be called back, or there are some people who are just as great as yourself, you know. But if you don't have the fear of rejection, or for me, it was, I will get something out of this, whether I win or not. You know, it's all about networks. I believe there is so much power in networks.
Me too.
You know, so for me, I knew that it's not about, you know, winning, but the networks that I'll create along the way.
Yeah.
Winning would be amazing. It would be great. And I mean, especially when I saw the people that I was up against, you know, giants in their own, you know, respective spaces. And once I met them and saw them and interacted with them, winning it didn't become about winning.
Yeah.
You know, it just said to me, I am here, and I am going to enjoy the space that I'm in, and I am going to, you know, try get as much, you know, from the, you know, wonderful, from the bold women that I've come across.
Yeah.
I've had the privilege to tap into the great minds, and, you know, so yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the process. I remember seeing some of the entry requirements and thinking, who fits this description? But, you know, then I saw the top 6, and I heard stories about, you know, the number of women that had sent through their entries, and how they thought through the process of sifting through and getting to these final women that made it into the room when the announcement was made, which was an absolutely amazing event. Tell me a little bit about the process, and what were some interesting bits about those conversations you were having with the jury, the people that you met, and what came up? Because I think one of the powerful things I imagine about entering a competition and having yourself and your business almost scrutinized, it makes you realize certain things that maybe you might have not been paying attention to before. And in a way, it helps you grow. I want you to share a little bit about the process. What were the surprises? What did you feel like you walked away and you're like, I killed that part? If I don't make it through from this, then I mean, it's not fair or anything like that.
You know, the process was quite simple. You know, you go into the Veuve website, Veuve Clicquot website, veuveclicquot.com, where you complete an entry form about yourself, about your business. If you know your business, if you know who you are, then it's very easy, you know. So that process, I quite enjoyed. I mean, as I pressed that send button, you know, there was a confidence in me that, you know,
did you find it was reflective?
It was very reflective. You know, at some point I sat there typing, and I was just like, oh my gosh,
I've done that.
I've done that. Oh my God, this is what I've done. You know, sometimes we are in it.
Yes.
And we are you know, day to day, you wake up, you think about the grind, and it's sort of like, I love the word that you used, reflective, because as I sat there and I said to myself, oh my gosh, in these 3 years I've done all of this, and you know, it was really a moment for me to reflect, and I was proud of where I'd come, you know, and where I was, and I said to myself, oh my gosh, send this is it.
Yeah.
You know, even if I don't get a call, it's given me something. You know, it's given me the chance to reflect.
Yeah.
And I'm happy with where I am, because sometimes we're so hard on ourselves. You know, so that to me was an amazing part of the process. And then there was, of course, you know, the jury, the interviews.
So once you've submitted your form, do you get a call?
So you get a call to say, we've received your application, and we will let you know of the outcome.
Okay.
So, of course, for me, the next call was, congratulations, you are part of the top 6.
Okay.
So then they explained that you are part of so it's 6 finalists. 3 are from the Bold Woman Award, and the 3 would be the Bold Future Award.
I see, okay.
Yeah. So basically they are divided into 2, Bold Award and Bold Future. So there's 3 finalists in each. Yeah. So that would be the call that I would get. I'd be so excited, and then I was run through the process that the adjudication phase. You'd be invited, and you will get the dates as to when and where, time. So that's what happened, and the adjudication process was also another form of therapy and reflection. You know, say if you know your business, it just becomes about who you are. You know, you get to reflect on your whys.
Yes.
You know, which is very important. That you do that. You know, in any case, like, you know, if you run a business, you have to constantly revisit your why, because things change. You know. In the business space, and your answer to your why might be different, you know, today than it was yesterday. Yeah. So it was also like very reflective. It was conversations. It was, you know, adjudicators from different industries, you know, who are gurus in their spaces, you know, but at the end of the day, who are all passionate about
the work they do.
About the work they do. So that was the process.
So you go through this amazing experience where you submit this long essay to some degree, but it's reflective and it's beautiful. In actual fact, when you mentioned that, I thought, you know what? I can do reflective. I think perception is such a big thing when you think about awards and entering competitions. And I think framing this process as a process that allows you to be reflective and could also be a process that allows you to see where you need to make improvements in your business, it becomes a little softer, you know, for someone who's not competitive like me. So I really like that you also framed it that way for yourself, and you meet the juries and you have an awesome time and you're having a conversation. Even that is like you're not being asked questions, but you're actually having a conversation, and then we go into this beautiful day. Yeah. It was an awesome, awesome event. Wow. Such beautiful energy in the room, and you find out it's actually a night about you. We're all there to actually celebrate you. What was that like for you, finding out that you are the actual winner, and what did you do to celebrate?
It was so surreal.
Yeah.
Like, I think when Azania, who was the MC of the night, called my name.
Yeah.
Like, it took a couple of seconds for me.
I remember.
Up. You know, it was just like, what? Did she just say Gugu Sithole? And I was just like, yes. You know, so it was amazing.
Yeah.
You know, it was out of this world. And it just gave, you know, that validation that, girl, you are on track. You know, sometimes we know how entrepreneurship can be a lonely journey. Sometimes you question yourself, you know, if I am even doing what I'm supposed to be doing or doing it right, or, you know. So it was that moment for me, you know, it was that, you know, that lift me up, you know, moment that, girl, you're doing it, and here are the results of, of your hard work, you know. The recognition for me really said, Gugu, it gave me more courage, you know, it gave me that oomph to do more. Because then I really felt that I was to some degree, you know, being elevated, but with that elevation, you know, it would then sort of like come down to the women in the communities that I work with. You know, there's just, you know, that night it was about me, but what was going through my head, it was just like, oh my gosh, imagine what this will do for me. Imagine what it will do for my brand, you know, the business that I run. But imagine what it will do for the communities around me. So it was just, it was an amazing night. Like sometimes, even now, you know, when I go back and I play those clips, it's like, oh my gosh, it still feels so surreal. You know, like a couple of months into it, you know, actually, 10 months into it, and I still can't believe it. And
what did you do to celebrate? That's the part that I'm like, I need to know. I mean, if I won Veuve Clicquot Bold Woman, goodness, I don't even know what I would do to, maybe I would be so shocked I would not even know what to do, you know, to celebrate. But what did you do after the event? Did you go home? Did you go partying? Did you call your mom? Did you get on the road and go home? What is it that you did when you find out that you were part of this clique of amazing women?
I went home. I went home to my mom. You know, she always centers me and grounds me, and but also it was a moment of gratitude for me, and I wanted to share that with those that are closest to me. You know, that would be my mother. I've got a 15-year-old daughter who thinks I am the greatest thing, you know, in this world of hers, like, you know, mom, like there's nothing that my mother can't do, type of a thing. So I wanted her to be part of the celebrations. I wanted my sister, you know, to be part of the celebrations as well. So it was definitely going home. We had a Thanksgiving dinner. We prayed, we danced, you know, lots of gratitude.
Your grandmother is still alive?
My grandmother is no more,
What do you think she would have said, you know, to see Gugu achieve this enormous milestone? You know, you were this Gugu that she watched and listened to when you told the stories about Johannesburg and Durban and seeing the world. And now you are not only seeing the world, you are part of this clique of global women who are just amazing and acknowledged and respected. What do you think she would have said if she was home when you went home to tell them about this?
I think she would have said, I knew it. It was written in the stars. You know, my grandmother always said to me, you are going to do great things. You are going to elevate our name someday. You know, she'd say simple things or things that I found, like, you know, funny at that time. You know, like being the first in the family to get in an aeroplane. You know, my grandmother told me that you'd be the first in the family to get in an aeroplane. You'd be the first to go out into this far and distant lands that we don't know about, and you'll tell us about it. And it has happened exactly as, you know, my grandmother had said. So I think my grandmother would have said, I told you that if you believe in yourself, all these things, all these great, you know, things that you have in your mind are going to happen. So So I think she would have said,
I knew it.
I knew it.
I knew it.
It was written in the stars. This is for you. Own it. And when I posted the announcement on my Instagram, a friend of mine, and I said, she knows me very well, this one, because her comment was, Gogo is dancing in heaven. I was just like, I had goosebumps. I was like, this is the person who knows me, who knows my story. That Gogo no Mama are at the center of it all.
Do you find that belief that people had in you at a very young age has in a way sustained you through challenging times? Do you even remember it that vividly, or it's something that you at times bump into and you have to be reminded yourself?
Sometimes I have to be reminded. And my mother is great at reminding me. Sometimes I come across as, in fact, no, I don't. I am confident. I am,
self-assured
and self-assured. But we are human at the end of the day. And when I have my days of self-doubt, she's there to remind me, but she also narrates the stories, to sort of like pick me up. Remember when this happened. Remember how you just came out of it all and you just made the best of it. So I'd say that that self-belief, but also those pep talks, are the ones that really do keep me going when the going gets tough.
The tough get going.
Yep.
It's incredible how your story, has travel as a big part of it. Your business is in the travel space. And then you get to experience this amazing trip as part of being a winner of the Bold Woman Award. And you go to France, and you're hosted by a luxury brand like Veuve Clicquot. I can't even imagine what that is like. And not only that, one of the things that I was just like, I need to enter this competition was the fact that you get a vine named after you in their vineyard. What has been the most memorable part of having won this award?
Wow. Of course, the trip to France was something that I'll talk about for years to come, but the most memorable for me, I would say that it was meeting like-minded, business women from all corners of the world. The conversations, that took place, during the whole time that we're there, we're all about, we're so reassuring. You have a group of entrepreneurs that, although we all come from different parts of the world, but we face similar challenges. For me to listen to solutions, to challenges that I thought I had, or to tap into these women's great minds was something that I'll treasure, but also, to walk where Madame Clicquot walked. When we went on a tour of Veuve Clicquot, the vineyard itself, and we got taken, on a tour in the history of how it started. Madame Clicquot breaking barriers. There was this place in the basement, where they keep all the barrels and the different smells that you experience when walking around. And that experience was out of this world, because you just felt like
you feel the energy.
You feel the energy, and but also the story. It's just like, she did it.
Yeah.
There is no way that you come out of there and you're not inspired. She left a legacy that we are all so proud of, one that I certainly aspire to take,
to follow.
Yeah.
I was saying to you, and I was teasing you before our conversation and saying there was a Gugu Sithole before the Veuve Clicquot Bold Awards, and then there's Gugu Sithole, the Veuve Clicquot Bold Award winner. What is the difference between the two? I mean, I can't imagine the kind of access it gives you. I think the one thing I would, number one, it would be on my Instagram profile.
Yeah.
Definitely. Number two, every part of my bio. I think everywhere you see my name, it would definitely be there, because I think the association with the brand itself can just open so many doors for you.
Of course.
I know for myself, in the little work that I've done with Veuve Clicquot, the honor, you know, and the privilege to be trusted with their brand more than anything else. As a person who's a brand builder, I recognize, you know, and really handle that with care, because I think it takes a lot to build a brand.
It does. It does.
You can be known to run a specific business, but to build a brand that has lived through the ages and has been consistent in its messages and its promises, I will never not respect that of any brand.
Yeah.
So I want to know, there is personal brand Gugu Sithole before the awards. And then there is personal brand Gugu Sithole, the Veuve Clicquot Bold Award winner. What does that feel like? How has your life changed now that you've won this award?
You know, people certainly, you know, listen.
Yeah.
You know. And I'll tell you a story. You know, there was a door that I'd been knocking on for quite a while, and things were just not happening. And you know, somebody quite high up who I wanted an ear, who I had, you know, ideas on how we can make things work in our space. And one day I got up, it was on a Sunday, and I checked my phone. I've got a WhatsApp from this person who I stopped knocking. I'd been like, you know what, I'll do this on my own. And this person was saying, how are you? Congratulations on your recent award. We are very proud of you. Would you like to do coffee?
I cannot imagine what that felt like.
You know, so I was like, okay, coffee it is then, you know.
Wow.
But I have realized that, you know, things really did change for me and for the business, you know, especially for the business, you know. We've even added products, you know, to our offering, because Veuve came with it a different market altogether.
Oh, wow.
You know, so if, you know, Glamping Adventures has really focused on the domestic market, and we're really about inclusive travel, you know, especially wanting to get, you know, the domestic market, you know, that's sort of like been fearful of traveling, because travel is associated with the rich and all, but through the access that we've created, you know, packages that can be paid over time, and, you know, so it was all about inclusivity. But then, you know, the winning the bold, you know, the Veuve Clicquot Bold Women Award sort of like brought a new market that wanted more.
Yeah,
they wanted
the
a
premium
bit of luxury.
Yes.
And hence our premium glamps, you know, started. You know, it came with an international market as well.
Yeah.
So we are, you know, servicing clientele from Singapore, from the US, from India, you know.
That's amazing, Gugu.
Exactly. You know, people that saw me on the platform, you know, that saw my, you know, it would be Instagram or LinkedIn, you know, then people had faith in me, you know, because of my association with Veuve Clicquot, you know. So we've got a completely different, we've even, you know, changed the way we speak. Yeah. You know, we've changed the way we write. You know, we've had to go back like to our website and sort of like, you know, include, you know, this sophisticated market as well. So it's really done well for us as a business in adding products and fostering partnerships with your boutique, your unique structures that are permanent in South Africa as the region. We've expanded to the region as well. So we are doing Namibia now. We are doing Vic Falls just in a couple of days.
That's incredible.
We are looking into Botswana. The international market says we want to do Southern Africa. We want glamping that will take us to South Africa, Botswana, Namibia, sort of like all in one package, like a 3 countries type of. So those are the type of changes that we've seen, the type of growth that we've seen, within Glamping Adventures. And we're grateful for this association.
I think when you think back to potentially a year before entering this competition, it sounds like you couldn't have imagined the growth that you were confronted with, or that you were kind of blessed with, just from associating with the brand and being the person that won this competition. If you had to think of someone, now we need to call people out. If you had to think of someone who you would nominate and literally encourage them to be part of this competition, who would it be and why? Why do you think it would benefit this person to potentially be part of this competition?
I know a woman. She is audacious. She is independent. She's a change maker, a trailblazer, just like Madame Clicquot. Her name is Nomndeni.
Oh man, Gugu, please. Oh my gosh. Why do you want to make me cry in my own interview?
You need to.
Oh my gosh.
I'm putting your name forward.
I am so scared of competition. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. Someone would think I am competitive.
Yeah.
But maybe I am, but I'm not conscious of it.
Nomndeni, when I looked at past bold winners.
Yeah.
I was looking for a name. To me, you were a past bold winner. I really thought that you would be there. I was so surprised that you have never entered the Bold Award.
I've never.
This is it.
Oh my gosh. Well, we'll see. We will see if it happens. We're going to have coffee and talk through that, because, I don't know if my time has passed, maybe. I'm really so honored to work with the brand so closely. And I think, in a way, I've never really been a person that looks at competitions to strategically position myself. I think I've taken the longer route. I think I've taken the longer route. And I don't think it's necessary, to be honest. I've really been privileged to find myself in rooms. And maybe privilege is taking away from the work that I do, right? But I have found myself in rooms where I've had the opportunity to really share my story, share who I am, and that honor and privilege has given me that access. But I do believe, for me, there's so many other women who don't sit in that position like I do. I almost feel like if I entered, I would be taking away the opportunity from someone else. Really? I do, because I think the things that people win or are able to access through this opportunity, I know I have access to. I really feel like if I had to go down the route of entering this competition, I would take away an opportunity for someone who really might need it. I am really blessed to have the Veuve Clicquot relationship already. I'm also very blessed to be able to call on the team when I need guidance, call on the team when I'm thinking about ideas, and we have a very open and honest relationship about what the possibilities are. So I think I'm good. I think I'm good.
Either way, we celebrate you. We recognize you.
Thank you, Gugu.
And you're a bold woman.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So what is next for you? after, you know, winning this competition, we've come to almost the end of your turn now, if I can call it that. If it was Miss South Africa, you'd be handing over to someone else as, you know, the entries open in May again.
Yeah.
What is next for you and Veuve Clicquot?
Definitely, you know, nurturing and growing the relationship. It's there, it's not going anywhere. I will be handing over in July to the new bold woman, but you know, the connections that I've created at Veuve remain, and I think, you know, the doors will always be open. So it's me now growing glamping adventures, and if there are any synergies, you know,
the door is open
collaborations now. In the future, the door is open.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm glad with the relationship that I have. You know, I can literally pick up the phone, you know, and say, guys, you know, this is where I find myself. So, like in the form of advice, you know, in the form of counsel.
Absolutely.
In the form of so the relationship is there, and I think it can only grow from strength to strength.
Gugu, I'm so excited to see how your business continues to grow, how your personal brand continues to grow. I've always found that every time I've had a conversation with you, it is so grounding. There's an energy of just being assured in who you are. And I know it might not be that every day, but I think there's a certain level of consciousness that you have in what your capabilities are, in what your lane is. You know, I really, every time I walk away from you, have this feeling of, I'm okay exactly where I am. And it is not a feeling that you get from a lot of people, because we live in a tough city.
Yeah.
A city that says you need to adapt.
Yeah.
A city that says you need to look this way. A city that says that you need to be there doing this with who.
Yeah.
And there's something magical about your energy, your work ethic, your awareness of who you are, and the impact that you want to make in the world. So I'm honored, you know, to share a surname with you, although it's my maiden surname, and to also have access to women like you, because, you know, it's not only the woman behind brands, which you sometimes bump into and you're just like, oh my gosh, this brand has such amazing people behind it. It's also the woman I meet at the events. It's the woman that I build connections with, and whose stories inspire me as well, that continue to encourage me to keep going as well. So thank you. Thank you for being you. Thank you for the work that you do, and thank you for spending time with me today.
Thank you for having me. It was great fun.
Thank you.